Hello, this is Andrew, founder and CEO of Vendium Global. The topic of this video is diversity, inclusion, and culture in global mobility and beyond. Diversity and inclusion has been at the forefront of mature talent management and talent acquisition strategies for the past several years. There is still a long journey ahead of us. Let's take a look at where we came from, where we are now, why it is important, and then share some tips to propel us into the future. For where we came from. The year was 1948. United States President Harry S. Truman signs an executive order known as Executive Order 9981, abolishing discrimination on race, color, national origin, or religion within the U.S. Armed Forces. This is what led to the desegregation of the U.S. Armed Forces that historically had different units for people of color. It took 16 years for the rest of the United States to catch up, but finally in 1964, the Civil Rights Act of 1964 was passed forbidding employers to discriminate based on race, color, national origin, sex, or religion. In June of 1987, an abstract research article entitled Workforce 2000 was published by William Johnson and Arnold Packer. This article was arguably the birth of what we know as diversity and inclusion today. Workforce 2000 was 143 data-driven pages providing value-based information on how to better utilize a diverse human workforce in a global environment. Today, companies are taking a more active role in building out diversity and inclusion programs. It is not uncommon to come across a chief diversity officer or total departments dedicated to the work. In global mobility, we have intercultural trainers and consultants that guide our mobile workforce to be better suited for their new home. The most mature companies will train all of their employees on good intercultural practices, leading to a more cohesive company. In striving to reach diversity numbers, mistakes can be made that put employees in physical or legal danger. As an example, LGBTQ employees may be arrested in a global assignment for simply being who they are. This takes special attention and sensitivity to ensure proper assignment or move location selection. To get a better understanding of why these are important, let's do 3 quick exercises. The first, why do we need inclusion? Think back to a time when you were not included on a phone call, a meeting, or a project when you feel like you should have been. How did this make you feel? What did this result in? Typically, people will reveal that they felt hurt, felt less valued, insecure, or even angry. This takes away from your team continuity and erodes the strength of having a team in the first place. Lack of security creates a team of individual contributors rather than a synergistic powerhouse. Those not included due to their race, gender identity, religion, sex, sexual preference, age, or any other personally defining trait is even more powerful. In these exercises, you imagine insecurity regarding your professional belonging. Now imagine if it was based on something as important to you as religion, or as sensitive as your sexual preference. This is one of the many reasons why we focus in on inclusion. For the second exercise, why do we need diversity? What was the largest team project that you have ever been a part of? Was it system rollout, a new policy, a merger and acquisition? What was your part of this project? Who did you rely on during it? If you were tasked with the whole project with no outside help, what would have been difficult or impossible to complete? Diversity in our workforce brings diversity of thought and diversity of experience. To understand our customers and clients, we have to have shared experiences, values, and beliefs. Without it, we're guessing at what our customers or clients want. Finally, exercise 3. Why do we need intercultural training? So imagine you were just offered a job in a new country. You relocate your family as quickly as you can. The excitement, the nervousness, the questions from your children, and the protests from friends and family. Your new home is great, you like your team, and it all seems wonderful, outside that lingering self-doubt that you're suppressing from everyone. So you go on your first trip to purchase groceries, and you don't know what brands to buy, and the labels are in a different language. You grab what you can figure out and make your way home. At breakfast the next day, your children don't want to eat the cereal because it tastes different. Your first month passes. You are starting to get the hang of the groceries, but your spouse still hasn't found a job and is getting depressed. For some inexplicable reason, you aren't performing well in the new role, and you're afraid that you might be fired. You're starting to get the feeling that your new team doesn't seem to want to spend as much time with you. You and your manager keep having misunderstandings. This example is very common when neither the receiving team nor the employee understand the nuances of their culture. Sense of time, power distance, idioms, humor, work hours, all go well beyond having the technical skills for the job or ability to speak the language. Helping the team understand what the new team member is going through and how to welcome them in is just as important as informing the new team member of what to expect. Now, I promise you some tips on propelling your organization into the future, and I have 7 of them. Number 1, make hiring decisions based on both immediate and future needs. By looking at 1, 2, or even 3 roles ahead when examining candidates, You will have a culture where the candidate can ask, "Where will I be in 5 years?" versus the other way around. This also ensures that you have hired the best candidate for the long term business needs and increases long term engagement. Number two, inclusion is belonging. Inclusion denotes a power distance where the group needs to include the other. That is not the case on a team. Your team is a community, and each of you has a role in the community's success. Number three, bring diversity of thought, not just diversity of appearance. Many organizations strive to show data shifts in their diversity percentages without taking time to understand why they're doing it in the first place. You want diverse backgrounds, experiences, knowledge. This is often a more complex profile than simply sex or race. Number four, combine your intercultural awareness and diversity and inclusion. Both of these areas are after the same thing. Bring in diversity of thought and ensuring teams work well together. Diversity and inclusion programs are expressly after pulling in talent from different cultures, and it is important to remember blending of cultures is just as sensitive and important domestically as globally. Number five, build community and foster trust. Politeness, seeking understanding, and respect for all are paramount in ensuring a healthy team environment. This takes reinforcement through training, leadership, and assessments to see where you are and how you are progressing. Team building in both events and daily practice creates an environment of trust but also builds a community. This team building should encourage each member to help one another for the greater good of the team. Number six, the enemy is always outside of the gate. Military units are conditioned to have absolute trust in the person to the left and to the right of them. This trust is what makes them so strong. Disagreements will always occur, but in an environment of trust, respect, and belonging should reinforce that no team member is ever the enemy. And number seven, take time for diversity, inclusion, and intercultural awareness for your global mobility program. These are important to differentiate because in order to have a successful assignment or move, the team and employee will need to be able to work well together. When discussing diversity and inclusion, it should be understood that certain countries have religious or legal restrictions on different lifestyles. Your employee safety is the most important consideration. Connect with us today and let us help you bring in modern, value-adding diversity and inclusion practices into your organization.